Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Hardfire TV. My name is Cameron Weber. I'm the producer and host on today's episode. On Hardfire, we try to provide a public service. We try to provide a public service by questioning the actions of the state, the only social class with a monopoly on coercion. The state needs looking after because they have the only right to make us do what they want by the point of a gun. Today's discussion is part of our series about political capitalism, where public money guarantees the profits of well-connected private businesses. Today on Hardfire, I will be joined by Derek Sacerdote. Derek, welcome back.
Hi, great to be here. Been a while.
Derek's my go-to person for crony capitalism because Derek is unemployed, right? You call yourself
unemployed going on 13 years.
Yeah, unemployed. When people ask what you do and you say I'm a businessman or I'm self-employed, they don't really understand it. So Derek just says, I'm unemployed.
I like to read to
it. Yeah, I've been using the same thing, I think. All right. So anyway, today's program is especially interesting as it deals with the corporate cronyism given to the world's richest person, Elon Musk. We'll be looking at about $40 billion in taxpayer monies given to Musk's businesses interested over the last 15 years. And then the question is, what kind of political society redistributes wealth upwards like this? The ironies abound. All right, let's start with first principles. Maybe one of the most important values that classical liberals have in common is the belief that everyone should be treated equally under the rule of law. In other words, the rule of law, by definition, is that everyone should be treated equally.
As in the same.
As in the same. Even a flat tax, right? Instead of progressive tax, just a flat tax, right? Right. Policies which tax most people in order to give transfers to special interests violate this rule of law principle. Corporate welfare is even worse than social welfare because corporate welfare subsidizes the rich at the expense of everyone else. At least social welfare subsidizes the poor at the expense of everyone else, right? So what do you think of that, Derek? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose playing devil's advocate, you subsidize the poor, you're helping them stay alive. You subsidize the rich, you help them stimulate business and
exactly.
I guess that's the argument that would.
That is one argument. And that's a good perception. Is that you do need the rich. You need rich people because they buy the fancy gadgets when they first come out. They're the only ones that can afford those fancy gadgets, and then through mass production, then everyone else can afford it when they start mass producing it. Yeah, but you don't need government subsidies for the wealthy to keep spending. I don't think. I mean,
to keep spending, to keep making new things, or to keep opening new businesses. To make things to the rest of us faster.
That's exactly what the excuse is for subsidizing Elon Musk's Tesla, is so that you can get green cars, subsidize the green cars, and then electric cars, and then the idea behind subsidizing SpaceX is to make advance the country forward in terms of our Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and now you have the space Department of Space, rights to attract investment into that as part of the space race. Elon Musk gets subsidized at SpaceX. And
weren't we already paying for NASA?
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
So this is seen as like a compliment, a sort of a public-private compliment to NASA.
Yeah, well, NASA hasn't done anything for many, many years, right? It just sits there, has a big bureaucracy.
I understand that they collaborate with SpaceX now. They do joint projects.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they collaborate. We'll get to SpaceX, but first, let's talk about. I want to, like I mentioned earlier, Derek and I have done a lot of shows on crony capitalism, and so I just wanted to bring up some of our greatest hits to put some things in context. The most obvious example of corporate welfare is agriculture subsidies, right? These huge agriculture businesses get billions of dollars in subsidies every year. So the ag bill through Congress gives crony capitalism to the agricultural businesses, and it gives the food stamps to the poor. So both the Democrats and Republicans, the Republicans get their crony capitalism to large businesses, and the Democrats get their welfare state.
So everybody has something they can be happy about.
Everyone's very happy. And by the way, speaking of the government closing, back when I did finance, chief finance for a business, if you didn't pay your employees, you were technically bankrupt. So the court would shut you down if you don't pay your employees. Yet the federal government within the last 2 years has been shut down for 3 months. Some employees didn't get paid for 3 months.
They keep coming to work, which is amazing.
Kind of. Right. They pretend to pay me and I pretend to work. That's like the Soviets, yeah? So the money, large oligopolies get subsidized, like Arthur Daniel Midland for sugar support. They get trade barriers against imported sugar, and they get paid taxpayer money to manufacture sugar. So they win both sides. That's crony capitalism.
And people get food stamps to buy sugary food.
Well, yeah. The food stamps is a whole nother thing. You subsidize the rich because you want them to stay rich. I mean, you want them to lead the economy or, provide innovation that the average people can't. But so when you subsidize the poor, what do you get? You just subsidize the poor. There's no incentive to grow out of poverty if you're being paid to be poor, which is kind of, am I wrong there, Derek? Or is that?
Largely, yeah. Unless if there's such a drop off in your living standard between when you are eligible for stamps and then when you get a minimal paying job. Yeah. For the same money, it is a very counter incentive. It is a counter incentive.
Yeah, there's no incentive to that. I mean, but that's been going on since the 1970s, so it's not.
Yeah, if you could find some kind of a graduated way to.
Yeah. So
the lower it, but doing it as a sudden drop off.
I mean, New York State. Half the people in the United States get one form of government transfer. Right. So that by definition, is socialism, where you get, more than half the people get some kind of income from the state. But anyway, today we're talking about Elon Musk. So, and another program we did, Derek, was the corporatist agenda under the Trump 2, where the government is investing in Intel and MP, rare earth, and U.S. steel for national defense reasons, right? So again, when the state owns the means of production, that's socialism. So,
but socialism in the national interest.
It's always the national interest.
Yeah, safety and security.
Yeah, when you drive along the, say where I am in an undisclosed place in southern Texas, and I would drive to where Elon Musk is, I go through the Border Patrol. The Border Patrol stops everyone going there with no probable cause. Why? Because of the national emergency.
You're not crossing a border, no.
No, I'm not crossing a border.
You're crossing a new county line, or what?
We do cross county lines, but the Border Patrol is just set up randomly, and when you take the Greyhound bus, the bus pulls over, they enter the bus, they check everybody's IDs. You probably haven't seen this, but that's serious stuff.
Well, yeah, I know Border Patrol is not limited to the actual border.
Now the border is defined as anything within 100 miles of the border itself.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the caveat for the current national emergency for too many immigrants. So
the border zone.
Yeah, the border zone is 100 miles from the border. And if you look at all the borders Canadian border, Mexico border. 90% of the people in the United States live within 100 miles of the border. So, yeah, that's what I understand. 9%.
That seems like an exaggeration, but maybe 90%.
Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I read some bad data, but a lot of people. New York City.
I think it seems like a lot, especially the northern side.
Yeah, New York City is not within 100 miles, so
almost 300 miles away.
Yeah. So forget that fact. I misspoke. But the point is the border is now 100 miles from the border.
They're a pretty wide area to run in. Yeah.
Oh, they got dogs and everything. You know, you're not going to say no. Can I see your ID? You don't mention, probable cause when they have a dog at. You know what I mean? It's a lot of scary stuff going on. So anyway, that's all part of the show we did called "Militarization and the Corporatist Agenda" under Donald Trump's investing into private businesses. And then the insiders get a little bump because they know that the state's going to invest in it. So the insiders get the inside information, invest in it first, and then the state invests in it. We can also note that insiders made profits with the announced delay in bombing Iran's infrastructure. You remember that, Derek? Just last week, he said, "Okay, we're going to hold off until the 6th, which is today," and so 15 minutes before Donald Trump announced that he was going to hold off on the bombing, there was 250 million in futures traded. 15 minutes. So people bought, insiders sold oil at the high prices and bought the stock market at the low prices. 15 minutes later, the price of oil goes down and the stock market goes up because Donald Trump's delaying his threats against Iran.
It almost sounds corrupt.
Well, it is corrupt. I mean, it's morally corrupt, I would think. Yes, thank you. Another Hardfire show we did under this series with Derek is we talked about the Buffalo Billions project in the 2010s in upstate New York. I'll put up a picture here. So during that, in the 2010s, Tesla was promised $750 million for a solar panel manufacturing company, right? Three-quarters of $1 billion. Musk was promised in upstate New York to create a solar panel manufacturing company. But it turns out that under the bankruptcy of the Buffalo Billions project, Mr. Musk now gets rents for $1 a year. He owns the property in LZS. The state still owns the property, and Musk pays $1 a year for this place. A lease, $1 a year lease on this manufacturing plant that can make it big enough to make solar panels, right? So that's another example of our crony capitalism, when the state tries to direct what under good intentions or bad intentions, or just plain corruption.
Yeah, they're trying to artificially direct business to a certain geographical area where they think it.
Yeah.
Where they like to do.
Which is, again, a direct violation of the rule of law that we talk about, where everyone should be treated equal, right? Tax the people in New York City and pay people to go to upstate New York. Nobody wants to go live and work in upstate New York, so it goes bankrupt. It's a joke. So another thing is we talked about is New York Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, which gives subsidies to produce TV and film in New York. So basically, these subsidies that the city gives go to labor union members who work on these projects, film and TV projects, right? And the average labor union member makes about $150,000 a year, whereas the average New Yorker makes about $75,000 a year. So again, it's redistribution upwards, these subsidies. It's, the elite perpetuating themselves.
They're smart. I guess we need to go into those businesses.
Sure. If you want to spend all your time filling out government forms, have a whole team of people, it destroys the individual entrepreneurship, this crony capitalism. Anyway, the big picture, that was the big picture of America's current status as a corporatist political economy. There are many examples besides Elon Musk. However, after the Federal Reserve and the bank bailouts and cronyism after the housing boom and bust, Musk is the poster child for corporate welfare. And now I'm going to put up with something. Is it true that Elon Musk has no friends?
I mean, I wouldn't say none, but he doesn't seem like he's very well liked.
No.
Well, I mean, there must be a core of people, but I feel like it can't be very large.
Well, I mean, he bought a whole city in along the Gulf of Mexico for the SpaceX, but we'll talk about that next time. Anyway, so why would people dislike Elon Musk? Why would people dislike Elon Musk so much that they put stickers on in public places saying Elon Musk has no friends? Why do you think that is?
Well, maybe it could be in association with Trump. It could be the bizarre antics of Doge. It's just the odd way in which he rolled it out.
Yeah. So statists wouldn't like Elon Musk for the Doge activities, and then anti-Trump people wouldn't like Elon Musk because he worked with Elon Musk with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. And then
like because he started government jobs.
Because why?
He started government jobs.
Yeah. So, okay. But yeah. Also, I want to say this. Maybe the Democrats don't like Elon Musk because he made a bunch of money. He would get what, $12,000 or $8,000 subsidies for people to buy his electric cars, right? So all these people who thought they were doing well for the environment, even though we know that electric cars aren't good for the environment, they're buying these cars so that they look good in other people's eyes. Yeah, and then the person they're buying the car from turns around and works with the person that the Democrats despise most on earth.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, people who bought, I would say most people who bought electric cars were at least partly motivated by the green aspect. But I think it got to the point where it became a status symbol because it is seen as a status car. So at some point, people who didn't really care about the environment were buying them just for the image.
Yeah, exactly. It's an upper middle class toy. And then once the upper middle class did their status, and the demand dropped out for the electric cars.
Yeah, there were not. It was not like a widespread base of support because I think still, as much as the technology has improved, people are still accustomed to going to the gas station. Models out there but it seems that very few have rivaled the Tesla in popularity.
Yeah, well, China, the Chinese, I don't know what the name of the company is, but China, one manufacturing firm making electric cars in China actually has outsold Tesla.
Well, I mean,
year to year.
I assume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like you said,
wait, what's that?
Have you heard of Asia has a lot of people, so
exactly.
That's a much bigger society.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Sister?
No.
Sister is another kind of a high end electric car. It rolled out a couple of years ago. It was a flop, and then they put out some new models. But there was a major subsidy for rideshare to get them. So I was so surprised when I was around New York. I see all these Uber drivers with this Sister, which is a very exotic car, a very not well-known exotic car. And I don't realize that now. I realize they're popular because of the major incentive.
Let's look at the Tesla stock price. I wanted to talk about this. We find that August 25th, Tesla has a big bump in the stock price. I'm putting that up there. The reason for that, if you remember that Donald Trump and Elon Musk had a falling out over Doge because Elon Musk wanted to balance the budget. And Donald Trump wanted nothing to do with balancing the budget, right? I mean, he's asking for what, a $1.5 trillion military.
Right.
He's not about. So they had a falling out. They had a falling out, and then later, the president says, "Oh, Elon Musk's products are good American products, and boom, so the stock goes up.
Oh, it's complicated because the people, the liberals, they once they didn't like him, they still don't like him. Whether he's associated with Trump or not. I mean, the fact that he once was is still a thing. But
maybe a lot of it's jealousy or envy. And oh, he's a billionaire. You think that's it?
I mean, it could be like, it could be masked as something else. Yeah.
I see a lot of that as an economist.
You're buying. I mean, you're jealous, but you're making them rich by buying the product.
Yeah, it's people don't think through their.
They do think it through, but they feel like they're absolved of any complicity by doing that. Like, of course they buy products because it's the only rational way I can proceed and to get through life. But I have no choice but to buy these products.
Yes. Speaking about electric cars, I'm going to put up something from the Foundation for Economic Education that they published in 2022, where their electric vehicles are not good for the environment. They use 700% more minerals than other cars.
Yeah, there are drawbacks. I mean, they don't have as much of a high carbon footprint, but the mining of those rare earths.
Exactly.
I think people did not realize that at first, and I think there's this belief that you can be, if you spend enough money, you can maintain your lifestyle, your regular lifestyle, and not have it harm the earth. And I think nobody wants to think that, okay, I'm going to actually have to cut my lifestyle down and have less comforts. Yeah. That's something. Any way you do it, you're going to have environmental impact, whether it's gas or electric.
And we touched on something. America is a consumerist society.
Sure, yeah, I've noticed that. People like comforts, and they don't really like sacrifice. So yeah. There must be a way there could be no impact if I spend enough money. But I think that may be a fallacy.
Well, or if the government's subsidizing, it must be a good thing.
It must be a good thing. Yeah, it must be a good thing.
I don't have to think for myself because the government declared it's a good thing.
They give me the tax break and they give me the rebate. So I mean,
and don't you have to make a certain amount of money in order to get that rebate in the first place?
I'm not sure. I mean, you have to be able to afford the vehicle, and afford the equipment. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at. I'm going to put up a quick chart that Tesla government subsidies. You'll see that, in fact, Tesla makes most of their money not by selling cars, but by providing the right to other car companies to produce gasoline engine cars.
Like pollution credits?
Yeah, by selling carbon credits, exactly. Tesla makes $11 billion from that, and then they make I'm talking the last 15 years. They made $5 billion in government subsidies. They don't receive those directly, but the taxpayer does pay for them. And then it all started with the Department of Energy loan in 2009, what you were saying, Derek, that we need to pay the wealthy so that they can create products that then eventually will filter down to the rest of the economy.
At least to make it so it would happen much faster, fast enough to, it takes too long to the market to do it.
Yeah, right. The government has to get in your face in a hurry so they create fear so they can get votes. I mean, that's how it worked.
Well, they also have these people have to tell the voters that look what I did. Look at these programs I initiated. So they have to be able to have their hand in the game somehow.
Oh, it's also, look, if you ask me, it's a form of entertainment. Anyway, we just have 1 minute left, Derek. Thank you for your participation in Hardfire today, part of our series on corporate cronyism under the U.S. welfare warfare state. And our next show about Elon Musk, we're talking directly about the welfare warfare state when we talk about SpaceX. Thank you for watching Hardfire TV. Thank you, Derek. We'll see you next time.